Thank you for joining us for Dvar Malchus, Parsha Bo by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 5752. And today's class is dedicated to the Refura Shelema of Ariel David ben Simcha. May it be speedily and immediately. If you would like to sponsor this class or a class like this one, you can log into ShabbosHouseLA.org or ShabbosHouseLA.com and contribute to our nonprofit organization, which provides Shabbos meals and online shiurim. Okay, here we are, page 111, Dvar Malchus. Among the innovations of my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe leader of our generation, Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak, whose yurtzeit is on the 10th of Shvat, in his occupation and dedication to influence Jewish girls and women in matters of Judaism, Torah, and its commandments, including and especially Hasidic teachings, in addition to the men and the boys. Moreover, his efforts in this was through emphasizing the special virtue of Jewish women, that every one of them is a foundation of the home, and it is in her power to affect the whole household, including the children and the husband. And the source for this, as elucidated in his known address regarding the precedence of the woman over a man regarding very important matters for the Jewish people. At the giving of the Torah, as it is written, so shall you say to the house of Yaakov, referring to the women, and afterwards, and tell the sons of Yisrael, the men. And at the contribution for the Mishkan tabernacle, they shall make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them. As the verse says, and the men came together with the women. They, the women, were there first, and the men merely joined them. And in addition to precedence in time, also mainly precedence, superiority, and virtue, at the giving of the Torah, that the women did not want to give from their gold, and indeed did not give their gold to make the golden calf. They didn't take part in the sin of the golden calf, which was exact opposite of giving of the Torah. And at the contribution for the Mishkan, as the verse says, and all the women spun the goats. This was an outstanding craftsmanship, that they spun them, the threads, while the hair was still on the goats. Furthermore, and now this is the most important, their special connection to the redemption. Our sages say, in the merit of the righteous woman, that there were, in the generation of the Jewish people, were redeemed from Egypt. And likewise, regarding the redemption which is destined to come, about which it is said, just in the days you left the land of Egypt, I shall show them wonders. That is, will be in the merit of the righteous woman in the generation, as the words of our sages, the generation will be redeemed only in the merit of the righteous women that are in the generation, and especially in accordance with what is explained in the writings of the Ariel, that the generation of the future redemption is a reincarnation of the generation that left Egypt. And in accordance with this, the righteous woman of our generation, which in their merit we are redeemed, are the same women which in their merit the exodus from Egypt transpired. And since our generation is the last generation of exile and the first generation of redemption, as the words of my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe leader of our generation, that we have already completed the aspect service necessary for the redemption to come, and we are standing prepared to accept Mashiach, our righteous one. My revered father-in-law, the leader of our generation, placed an effort on greatly affecting and influencing women in order to hasten the redemption in the merit of the righteous women of our generation. And to add that the virtue of the Jewish woman is emphasized not only in bringing the redemption, rather also and mainly in the redemption itself, as known and explained in Kabbalah and Hasidic teachings, that in the time to come the virtue of the attribute of Hashem called Malus receive women, and will be revealed, whose source transcends all the other attributes given. Man, as it is written, the female will transcend the male, and the woman of valor is the crown of her husband. And may we say that the idea is emphasized also in relation to his yurtzeit, that is the Frierdiker Rebbe, which is in the completion of his service in his life in this world. The discourse that my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak, issued to be studied on the 10th of Shvat, the day of his passing, is Basi Lagani. I have come to my garden, my sister, my bride, was in correlation with the yurtzeit of his revered grandmother, Rebbetzin Rivka, may her merit guard us, on the 10th of Shvat. And its sequel is Hayeshavos Baganim, was in correlation with the yurtzeit of his revered mother, Rebbetzin Shetner Sarah. Shorna Sarah. May her merit guard us. Apologize for the translation. In English, it doesn't match up very well with the Hebrew. Shorna Sarah. Sharna Stara. Shorna Sarah. May her merit guard us on the 13th of Shvat, which is emphasized the relation of his yurtzeit, the completion of his service with the yurtzeit of righteous women among Jewish people, his grandmother and mother, the wives of leaders of the Jewish people, the Rebbe Marash and the Rebbe Rashad. As emphasized also in the beginning of the discourse, I have come to my garden, my sister, my bride, the virtue and dearness of the Jewish people, my sister, the bride, to the Holy One, blessed be He, and similarity within the Jewish people themselves, the virtue and dearness of women, as known that Hashem and the Jewish people are similar to husband and wife. And likewise, in the content of the discourse, I have come to my garden, to my bridal chamber, to the place where my essence was revealed in the beginning, where the revelation of the essence of the divine presence was in the lowest realms, namely the concept of revealing godliness below, so that He, blessed be He, may have a dwelling in the lowest realm, which is brought about through the service of the Jewish people, which Jewish women have a special advantage in this phenomenon, as known that the descent to refine the matters of this world is more emphasized in the service of the matriarchs than in the service of the patriarchs, who they themselves, the patriarchs, are above the world, and they are the patriarchs accomplished in the world in the proper manner is specifically through the matriarchs. In slightly different words, the completion of the service of the leader of the generation, Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak, on his yurtzeit, is the completion of the service of the entire generation, since the leader is everything, and being that this generation is the last generation, indeed, this marks the completion of the general service of the Jewish people, women in making a dwelling for Him, blessed be He, in the lowest realms. I have come to my garden. The essence of the divine presence was in the lowest realms. And to add that regarding the general concept of righteous ones passing away, Yurtzeit Halula, upon the completion of their service, the verse says, my beloved, descend to his garden, similar to, I have come to my garden to pick roses, to take away the righteous ones of the Jewish people who complete the Torah mitzvahs necessary for their souls. And furthermore, and mainly, that the taking away, passing, is in order for there to be an immeasurable greater ascent, which will be in the era of resurrection. Those that dwell in the dust will arise and sing, and the righteous ones at their head, souls within bodies in this physical world, in which will be the revelation of the essence of the divine presence, a dwelling for Him, blessed be He, in the lowest realms, in the true and complete redemption. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niyeh b'dvaro. And may we also connect with this, the Torah portion of the week, and especially since His passing was on the holy day of Shabbos, in which the entire portion was read, the Torah portion of Bo is explaining the words of the verse, come to Paro, as it says in the Zohar, that Hashem brought him, Moshe, into the room within rooms, the innermost chamber, and similarly regarding Paro of holiness, that Hashem brought him, Moshe, into the room within rooms, to the loftiest level of Paro, an idiom of Isperui, burst forth. I'm not so sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Burst forth, meaning that the godly light burst forth and revealed from him. And in this is alluded to the relation to the passing of the leader of the generation, the Moses of the generation, his ascent to the most lofty level, the level of the godly the God of all the godly lights burst forth and are revealed from him at the time of his passing. Moreover, and mainly, that all the godly lights burst forth and are revealed from him come to Paro, is the completion of the general service during his life in the world to illuminate the world through the service of Torah and commandments. A candle is a mitzvah, and a Torah is a light, and also in this concept there is an emphasis on the relation to the Jewish women, who one of the main commandments which were given to the Jewish women is the commandment of lighting Shabbos and holiday candles. A candle is a mitzvah, and a Torah is a light, also literally and clearly. Indeed, a general commandment that include all the commandments as known, that the 248 positive commandments, the 248 limbs of the king, plus 2 hands, the 2 general aspects of love and fear of Hashem, which through them fulfill the commandments are done to complete the matter, is the numerical value of the Hebrew letters of the word ner, candle, namely 250. And note that the commandment of lighting the Shabbos candles is followed by the commencing of Shabbos, and furthermore, the commencing and accepting of the Shabbos is through the lighting of the Shabbos candles before the evening Shabbos prayer of the husband, which in this is emphasized the completeness of the general service all the days of the week in illuminating the world with a candle is a mitzvah and a Torah is a light. And likewise, regarding the general service of the leader of our generation, the general service of the Jewish people in our generation, in matters of a candle is a mitzvah and a Torah is a light, that the completeness of perfection is on the holy day of the Shabbos, which is ushered in by the lighting of the Shabbos candles. And on the Shabbos, the Torah portion of Come to Paro, all the godly lights burst forth and are revealed from him. Moreover, and mainly, that this is the perception from the ultimate perfection of a candle is a mitzvah and a Torah is a light, namely the fulfillment of the commandment as you truly desire, in a manner of all godly lights burst forth and are revealed from him, as will be manifested in the time to come, the day which is all Shabbos and rest for everlasting. And may we add that the virtue of the Jewish woman And may we add the virtue of the Jewish woman is emphasized also in the Torah portion of Be'eshlach, as the calendar layout of many years that the Yurtzeit occurs on the week of this Torah portion. In the Torah of Be'eshlach, the Torah discusses the song of the sea, then Moses and the Jewish people, and after this, and Miriam and the prophetess, sister of Aaron, took the tambourines into her hand, and all the women followed after her with tambourines and dances, and to them Miriam responded, "Let us sing to Hashem," which is the emphasize the advantage of the woman over the man, since their song was an immense joy, with tambourines and dancing, so much so that the righteous women of the generation were certain that Hashem will make miracles for them, that they took tambourines out of Egypt when they left. And regarding the explanation as to why the song of the women Miriam was with a much greater joy, may we say, it is in the Midrash. Miriam was named so due to the mirror bitterness, since the main affliction of the slavery was such that they embittered their lives with back-breaking labor. Was once Miriam was born for 86 years, which began 4 years before Moshe was born, and afterwards, and through this Hashem appointed a Redeemer, Miriam. And may we say the explanation of the words in the Midrash, a Redeemer Miriam, named so due to the mirror and more, and seemingly bitterness and redemption are opposite, since the redemption was the result of the fact that Miriam was strongly pained by the bitterness of exile, and by way of preference and exposition of our sages on the verse, and Miriam, the prophetess, sister of Aaron, took the sister of Aaron and not the sister of Moses, since she was prophetizing when she was the sister of Aaron prior to the birth of Moshe. And she said, "My mother is destined to give birth to a son who will rescue the Jewish people." And when they threw him into the Nile, her father arose and lightly spanked her on her head and said to her, "What has become of your prophecy?" This is why it says in the verse, "And his sister stood from afar to see what will happen to him," to see what will happen to her prophecy. Thus the prophecy of Miriam was about the redemption who will rescue the Jewish people. And from then on, she eagerly anticipated the fulfillment of her prophecy, and she stood from afar to see what will happen to her prophecy. And the longer the exile went on, she was embittered by the length of the exile, so much so that the bitterness is emphasized in her name, which is expressed in her essence, Miriam, named so due to the mirror. And through being embittered by the exile, Miriam named due to the mirror, and awaited the yearning for the redemption, and she stood to see what will happen to him. And the Jewish people merited the redemption. Hashem appointed a Redeemer, Miriam, which then the prophecy of Miriam was fulfilled. And to add to this idea and emphasize also regarding Rachel, that when the Jewish people were exiled from the land of Israel, Rachel went out to her gravesite and cried and besieged mercy on them. As the verse said, a voice was heard up on high. Rachel is crying for her children, refusing to be comforted. And Hashem answered her, your efforts are being rewarded, said Hashem. Your children will return to their borders. And equivalent to the great bitterness over the exile, Miriam's name, due to the mirror, was the great joy over the redemption. Equivalent to the pain is the reward. And Miriam took the tambourine into her hand, and all the women followed after her with the tambourines and dances. And according to this, we can truly appreciate why the prophecy of Miriam regarding the redemption is written in the verse regarding at the song of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, sister of Aaron, took the tambourine into her hands, and all the women followed after her with the tambourines and dances. For when the Jewish people saw Egypt dead on the shore side, their fear of Egypt evaporated, and the prophecy of Miriam regarding the redemption of the Jewish people was completely fulfilled, and therefore the joy over the redemption was complete with the tambourine and the dances. And the virtue of the women expressed in the song of Miriam with tambourines and dances is emphasized even more in the Haftorah and culmination of the Torah portion, and Devorah sang. And although we read the song of the men, Moshe and the Jewish people, in the Torah portion itself, and also the song of the woman, Miriam and the Jewish people, nonetheless, we do not read a Haftorah with the song of the men, as on the seventh day of Passover, when we read the Haftorah regarding the song of David, rather a Haftorah regarding a song of a woman, the song of Devorah. And among the reason for this, since the song of the women, Miriam was in much superior manner than the song of the men, with tambourines and dances, and as mentioned above, and based on what is known, that the Haftorah is related to the concept of exile, that they made a decree against the Jewish religion that the Jewish people cannot read the weekly Torah portion from the Torah, so instead they read the topic on the Torah portion from the prophets. We may say that the emphasis on the virtue of the women in the Haftorah and Devorah sang is mainly regarded in the time of exile, namely the virtue of the service of the Jewish righteous women who are similar to Devorah in the time of exile, which in their merit and in their reward will go out of exile into redemption. And more specifically, that in the beginning of the Haftorah there is an allusion to the main aspect of the service of the Jewish women, which their merit is the redemption comes. And Devorah is a prophetess woman, the wife of Lepidos. What is the meaning of the wife of Lepidos? That she then not a wife of Barak, only this alludes to the fact that she would make wicks for the sanctuary, the tabernacle in Shiloh, and similar to the sanctuary found in every single Jewish home, the accomplishment of the Jewish women and daughters of lighting Shabbos and holiday candles to illuminate the entire house, and through this the entire surroundings and the entire world, similar to the wicks of the sanctuary that Devorah made, which illuminated the sanctuary and the entire world, from its light shine to the world. And she would sit under Devorah's date palm. Why specifically under a date palm? Because of the prohibition of Yehud. For it is tall and doesn't have shade, and has no branches toward the bottom of it, and no one can be secluded there with her as in a house. The virtue of modesty, the true honor of the king's daughter, is her majesty. As emphasized also in the song of Devorah form, the women in the tents you shall be blessed. Who are the women in the tents? Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, which this is the foundation upon which every Jewish house stands. And based on this, we may explain that also the culmination of the Haftorah and the land was quiet for 40 years, although this is not part of the words of Devorah, rather part of the words of the one who wrote the book of Shmuel, and the one who wrote the book, Shmuel the prophet, which alludes to the fact that though the conduct of the Jewish righteous women in the footsteps of Devorah, we merit the phenomenon of the land was quiet, including the ultimate perfection. The land was quiet with the entering into the complete land of Israel, a land of 10 nations, in the true and complete redemption, which is related to 40 years, the closed mem, which symbolizes the number 40 of the prosperity of the sovereignty of the eternal peace. And all the above mentioned have a lesson, instructing and empowering the service of the Jewish women and daughters of our generation. The yahrzeit of my revered father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak, including also the days before it and after it, which is also the yurtzeit of his grandmother, and soon after the yurtzeit of his mother, is a very auspicious time for an addition with advanced vigor and greater strength in all aspects of the service of Jewish women, that their conduct shall be the spirit of the righteous Rebbetzin, the wives of the leaders of the Jewish people, whose yurtzeit it is. With this brings about the continuation of life of the righteous Rebbetzin, just as their children are alive, so too are they alive, moreover and mainly, that since in the merit of the righteous woman of our generation, the true and complete redemption comes, therefore they are alive, also and mainly, in the most literal sense, and especially since the righteous men and women arise and sing those who dwell in the dust immediately upon the coming of the ultimate redemption. And with the extra emphasis this year, 5752, which the Hebrew letters for the number of the year is the acronym which continues to be widespread more and more of the Hebrew word, meaning it will be a year of wonders in everything from everything, in which is emphasized the virtue of the forefathers, about whom is written in everything from everything, whom Hashem gave them a taste of the world to come, including this, and especially the emphasis on the virtue of the matriarchs. Whatever Sarah will tell you, heed her voice, a foretaste of the perfection of time to come, that a female will transcend the male. The woman of valor is the crown of her husband, and to add that the 52nd year, 5752, is numerically related to Gan, garden. 52 with the number itself is the numerical value of the Hebrew word Gan. I have come to my Gan, which the perfection of this is the true and complete redemption, which then will be the revelation of the essence of the divine presence, a dwelling for him, blessed be he, in the lowest realms. And a special and more important instruction regarding the concept of song, as emphasized in the Song of Miriam and the Song of Devorah, just as the exodus from Egypt, the righteous women of the generation were certain that Hashem will make miracles for them, and they took tambourines out of Egypt when they left. So too regarding redemption from the last exile, that the Jewish righteous woman must be certain and undoubted that they are certain that the literal, immediate, and true and complete redemption comes, to the extent that they immediately in the last moments of exile begin singing with tambourines and dances for the coming of the true and complete redemption, and more specifically, together with the prayer and the request and demand from heaven that he bring the redemption literally immediately, as in the expression of the feeling of pain and bitterness, Miriam's name so due to the mourner, over the length of the exile, as it is expressed in the outcry from the depths of the heart, until when? They are permeated also and mainly with a feeling of joy, moreover the greatest joy which is expressed in singing, due to their great certainty that here this one, the King Mashiach, comes and has already come. And furthermore, and most important, and literally immediately, the Jewish people, the men, women, and children, sing the 10th song of the time to come, that it will be a masculine form. All the songs are stated in feminine form. The word song is reference to the songs is shira, just as the feminine gives birth, and the birth has pangs, similar to all the past redemptions, has painful bondage after them. However, the redemption which is destined to come does not have a bondage after it. Therefore, it is called shir, a masculine form. Sing to Hashem a new song. Thank you for watching today's class. Sei gesund, kol tov, tzlacha rava. And Erev Good Yom Tov, on the coming of Yud Shvat, the Hillel of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the passing of leadership to the Lubavitcher Rebbe.